All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Boston Boys Sports Podcast. I am, of course, one of your members and one of your hosts tonight, Eli the King Horrigan. I'm also here with my man, the Beard, Kiefer Bontos. Kiefer, what's up, buddy?
Ready for Penn State to rock the world against SMU this weekend, bud.
I'm hoping for you that they do, and I'm hoping Michigan gets Alabama. We get a bowl game and a meaningful one, actually, which I don't think it's going to go well for us, but hey, just happy to get an actually good bowl game on New Year's Eve, which is real nice. Want to mention as well, Stevie's not with us tonight. He will be back hopefully on the next show. And we are partnered with Jones and for Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on X. Check them out on YouTube. They're putting out great quality content every single day, as are we at Hub Boys Sports. But right now, let's jump into probably the most important thing, even more important than the college football playoffs. It is probably everybody's fantasy football playoffs. And Beard, you made the playoffs. How's your team looking?
So I made the playoffs in 3 out of 5 leagues.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. One league was that keeper league that I won the first year. I had scored 260 points. That was a crazy one. Not so much in our Yahoo league. My Yahoo league, your buddy's league, I lost first round. I had a bad week, and then my dumbass started Pat Mahomes instead of Baker Mayfield, and lost my game because Sam Darnold did not do good for the player that I was playing, and I'm out of the playoffs. And I know that Sir King over here has made it to the next round in mine. Did you make it in your buddy's league too?
I was actually the first week bye. I was in second place in that league, so I was automatic to the second round. So I am 2 for 2 in the fantasy world, and I owe it all to the potential real MVP of the NFL, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, hot take, baby, hot take.
Lamar Jackson, I have him in both leagues. I'm like heavy Ravens. I have Rashad Bateman who went off. I have Mark Andrews. He had a good game. But we might as well talk a little bit about the MVP because I would say it's probably a 4-horse race. Really, it's a 2-horse race, but Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley, to me, are the front runners.
Whoa. Okay, so I get why you're saying Joe Burrow, and I get that all together. He is having a lights out season. It's not Joe Burrow. I've been saying it all year. It's Cincinnati's defense and Cincinnati as a whole. But over Goff?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Those 4 to me. I love what Jared Goff is doing in Detroit, but I really think the front office there, the coaching staff, like Goff has been good, but if you put Joe Burrow in Detroit, do you think they're better or worse?
Oh, well, I think they're the same, and I say that for a specific reason. They are, as much as Goff has thrown this year, they're a run-heavy team. They have 2 studs minus Montgomery hurt himself.
No, I understand. They're 12-2, so it's hard to say that they'd be better. But do you think Detroit is a better team as far as longevity going into the playoffs? Anything? Do you think they're better or worse with Joe Burrow?
If they're talking about longevity, Joe Burrow is in top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, they're probably better. They probably only lose 1 game because Joe's slinging it, man. He really is. He's doing everything. You see him on that bench, that hot take when he was on the bench, and he was like, "We fucking suck. I hate this." And he's throwing 3 touchdowns at 330 yards, and he's still saying we fucking suck.
And that's the thing is, like, if you're asking me who's the better quarterback, Joe Burrow is he's almost at 4,000 yards. He leads the league in touchdowns. He's only got 8 picks, whereas Goff is, I think, a 30-10, maybe 31-10.
I think he's 31 and maybe 11, and he has 3,500 yards or 3,600 yards. But he threw for 5 touchdowns. He was the first quarterback to ever throw for 5 touchdowns, no picks, 450 yards, and lose a game to Buffalo, which he brought back. They were losing bad.
They were losing bad. And I saw another stat. It said Goff is the first guy in history to have a game in which he throws 5 interceptions and wins, and then 5 touchdowns in a game and loses,
Oh, yeah, no.
all
Okay.
in one season. But yeah, to me, it's a 4-horse race with those guys. Goff's on the outside looking into me, but really, I think it boils down to Lamar and Josh Allen. I think one of those two is going to win.
Now you think that you say 1 and 2 could win. Do you think there could be a co-MVP this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, with those two, yeah, and like what sucks is I don't want to discredit Saquon because you're a Penn State guy.
Penn State guy.
What Saquon means to Philadelphia, I think, is a lot. You realize he's got 11 touchdowns this year, and Jalen Hurts has 14 rushing touchdowns, and a lot of those are on a tush push. I mean, you could be talking about a record-setting season in all facets of the game for Saquon Barkley, if not for that tush push.
If not for that tush push, and he got those touchdowns, you're looking at an all-time great season. And if he had, I'll even say 7 or 8 of those touchdowns added to his, you're probably talking about the MVP of the league because of what he's done so far on the ground.
I mean, he's almost at 1,700 yards. He also has 31 receptions for 2 more touchdowns, 276 yards. Like I have his stats up. I'm just looking at verbatim. Like they're 12-2. Like he is such a freak athlete. His backwards hurdle over a guy, that's like Odell Beckham one-handed catch moment. Like that's a moment that will live in NFL replays forever.
Oh, it will be a highlight. Yeah, like you said, forever it will be. Saquon and running backs are about to start getting paid, I think, because of him and Derrick Henry this year.
Joe Mixon's another one. Josh Jacobs is another
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people moved to different teams, and the fit for them was just better. And I don't know if it was you guys saying it or someone, but you have to be some type of – it was Frank the Tank from Barstool. You have to be some type of moron to let Saquon walk and then try to sign Devin Singletary and think that he was going to be the next Saquon Barkley for you.
I will say, and Joe Shane's an idiot. The Giants organization is a mess. They should clean house, much like the Patriots should clean house. And we'll talk all about the Patriots. But to let Saquon Barkley walk, I don't like. First of all, he went to Philly, which you shouldn't let him walk to your rival. But we were talking about a time where the running back position was one of the least paid positions. And it almost felt like they were interchangeable. And then this offseason, credit to Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, because they're probably reviving the market for running backs.
I think they are reviving the market. I think they're showing value for running backs again.
Well, and now let's just take a look. Like Tennessee with Derrick Henry, their whole offense was built around him, and they with Mike Vrabel and him, they won that division quite a couple times anyway, right? And then they were kind of on the downslide, but that team was terrible. Now he goes to Baltimore. They're in the talk for the playoffs. Sorry, they're already in, actually, as I was not in the talk. They're in.
They're in.
Actually, yeah, I think they're secured in, but they could still win the division. But in any event, Joe Mixon leaves a really good Cincinnati team. Now Cincinnati's 6-8. They're 1 week away from not being in the playoffs. And he's sitting looking pretty in Houston. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're 9-5. I think they clinched the South, actually, right?
Yeah,
you take on Barkley, who goes from a loser franchise in New York and goes to Philadelphia, and they're immediately better again. They've been good, but they're better now that they have this running game. And then in Las Vegas, Josh Jacobs leaves. They get, I would say, probably worse in their running back situation with everyone thought White was okay. He goes to Green Bay, and Green Bay, again, is back in a position to make the playoffs. They're 10-4. So it's like you're seeing these guys go from teams where they thought running backs are interchangeable, it's fine. And then everyone's running. I mean, Cincy's run game is awful. Vegas's run game is awful. Tennessee's running game is awful. You know what I mean? So it probably – they're reviving this.
I think they are, and I think it's good for the NFL to have running backs have a place in the NFL again, because for a long time everybody thought the running back was a dying breed. You needed a hybrid running back that was going to catch out the backfield, that was going to do this, going to do that. Watching this season made me happy for running back, because I was a big running back guy. I like the running back position, and see it fade away, and you're like, all right, you still have a good, 4 guys in the league that are running for a certain amount, but then nobody's doing nothing. You actually have a good amount of people already over 1,000 yards right now.
Yeah, you do. It's the running backs, and you're seeing across the league too, like passing offenses are down. Guys aren't, I feel as the gambler in me, you're not seeing as many 300-yard passing games.
I saw something like that sets out. It wasn't so much. I don't know if it was 3 touchdowns or something like that, but they said for quarterbacks that haven't thrown for this season, and it shows you 5 teams. Shows you the Patriots, the Giants, Vegas. There was somebody else, all had losing records. Guess who that number 15 was?
Losing records as far as
no, just passing numbers aren't where they're at. But those guys all had junk teams. Guess who the 5th team is?
It's not a junk team, but like the Chiefs. I think Pat Mahomes hasn't had.
You called it to the T. For them not to have a guy that has 23 touchdowns and like 13 picks, and he doesn't even have 3,500 yards passing yet, for who's supposed to be the best quarterback in the NFL in many's eyes, you're seeing something change right now in the NFL, and it's going to bring value. I think that kid Gentry is going to come into the league and light the league on fire too. I think he's going to go to some team that's going to get drafted, and he's going to run up and down the field on people.
Yeah. He very well could. There's a lot of talk that he goes to the Cowboys. Actually, I've been all over. Do you do the player football? I sent it to you and Stevie, the PFF mock draft. I mean, I live on the thing. It's how I'm pretty sure I can fix the Patriots if they want to hire me. I have ideas, New England. I have Robert. Call me. I have ideas. I think I could turn the Patriots around. But let's get back to MVP talk, because I think through text messages, your MVP is Josh.
It is Josh Allen, and then I was leaning towards it. If it's not Josh Allen and it's Lamar, I wouldn't want Lamar just to win it all on its own. I think it should be a co-MVP if that's going to be the case.
So looking at the numbers, and one of the things that astonished me with the numbers was Josh Allen, 25 passing touchdowns. Lamar's got 34. Josh Allen's got 11 rushing touchdowns. He does it all for Buffalo. He is far and away the MVP. I don't want to see a co-MVP, and I love Lamar. And I like, if Lamar won, it wouldn't be like egregious that he won and Josh Allen didn't win. But I look at like, boy, Josh Allen, if you took Josh Allen away from Buffalo and you took Lamar away from Baltimore, Buffalo, I don't think is very talented. Like I don't think. I think Mitch Trubisky's their backup, if I'm correct, or maybe I'm a year off on that. And realistically, I don't know who Baltimore's is. But Baltimore's team as a whole, I think, is way better.
Oh, Baltimore's team is definitely better than Buffalo. And I said this, I've been the front runner on Josh Allen since before the beginning of the season. I was not a Josh Allen hater. I will state that fact that I didn't hate him with his turnovers and all that. His turnovers are way down this year. He's at the lowest turnover rate in his whole career is this year. And he is a bona fide stud. If you don't have him carrying that team is not a 10-win team. I don't even think it's a 5-win team.
No, they're 11-3 right now. And I would say he is there. I mean, he's responsible for 36 touchdowns, 25 through the year, and 11 on the ground. And he's only thrown for 5 interceptions. I mean, he's probably
what has Lamar got? 3 interceptions?
Yeah, he's got 3. And Lamar's been fantastic. And that's why I said, like, if Lamar wins, it's not egregious. Lamar's completion percentage is 68. Josh Allen's is 64. So like Lamar's numbers, it's 68 completion percentage, 3,500 yards, 34 touchdowns, 3 picks, 743 rushing yards, 3 more rushing touchdowns. That's all well and good. They're 9-5, and I think they're a better team than Buffalo. And they're 9-5. Josh Allen is the Bills. Like if Josh Allen, God forbid something happens to him and he can't compete for the rest of the year. If he had a David Montgomery type injury and couldn't compete for the rest of the year, Buffalo season is done.
Oh, it is. They're not going deep into the playoffs. They probably still make the playoffs without a doubt because they won the division already. But
yeah, they are. They've won the division. Yeah, they clinched.
Yeah, they won. They wouldn't go past that bye week round. They wouldn't make it past it.
They're not getting the bye anyway. They're still 2 games behind KC. Now you never know. KC is going to be starting Wentz for the rest of the year, so who knows? But
that's what I was thinking about too. So.
Oh yeah. So maybe Buffalo gets the bye week. But yeah, like you said, if Josh Allen goes down, they're definitely not getting the bye week, and then they're probably out on Wild Card Weekend. Like it's just he is that team.
No, he is. And then we were talking about episodes ago about Joe Burrow and Cincinnati. They're still alive in the playoff hunt.
Yes, they're 6-8, but they need all kinds of help. They need to win out because you got Baltimore at 9-5, you have Denver at 9-5, and you have the Chargers at 8-6. And then them and Miami are both still technically alive at 6-8. They need a lot of help to get in.
They do. Joe Burrow, like I said, Joe Burrow has not that problem, but he is definitely in the MVP conversation. I had him at 5. I thought Goff, just because of what he's done so far this year, put him a little ahead of him in wins in win way. Because you're thinking about most valuable player. You're not looking at the best statistical player. You're looking at the person that makes your team more complete. And Josh Allen makes his team more complete.
Well, and that's what I agree, because valuable, me and Steve have talked about this for years and years and years. We've known each other for about 20 years, and that was always the argument. It's not the best player. Like it's the most valuable. Josh Allen's value to the Buffalo Bills is at an all-time high, and it's got to be the highest in the league. Like, and we've seen Pat Mahomes get hurt in Kansas City a number of times, and Kansas City is just a wagon. They keep rolling. I don't know if they have it in them this year to win, but I don't think, like, I also think you take Joe Burrow off of Cincy. I don't think they're a 6-win team without Joe Burrow. I think without Joe Burrow, they're sniffing, the same air as the Pats,
Oh, yeah.
So Goff not in Detroit. I think Detroit is not a 12-win team at this point in the season, but between Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tim Patrick's looked good. Jamison Williams is having a good season. They had, until Montgomery got hurt, between Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, like that, they're good all the way around. That's a really good team.
All around team. They're probably the most complete team in the NFL.
But I mean, I really think if you took Josh Allen off the Bills and you just the Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, like you're looking at that, that's not an overwhelmingly talented team that you think, oh yeah, they'd be great. They'd be fine without Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen's Buffalo. He is that team.
Oh, he is that. There's not a question. I never will argue it. Like I said, I was high on him before. I'll stay high on him now. I think he is the MVP right now just because of how valuable he is to his team.
And I remember we did our preseason rankings. That's the one thing I said about Buffalo. Is I said, I don't think they're that good. I think Josh Allen is that good.
Yeah, he's definitely that. That 6 touchdowns the week prior, right? Was it?
Yeah.
It was the week prior. He had 3 rushing, 3 passing. He is just insane to watch, man. That Detroit game this weekend was wishful Super Bowl type game I want to watch. Both dropped 40 points. Both, it was insane game.
Started ugly too. Started real ugly.
No, we did it. And then we were like, let's see if Detroit can come back. And then they slowly started coming back. They really started coming back to play football again.
They did. And, speaking of Super Bowls, and we'll jump right into the playoffs. We can talk a little bit about who's your MVP, Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
I agree. It's Josh Allen, but I think Lamar Jackson's one of my favorite players in the league to watch right now. He's just tremendous. It bothers me that the Patriots could have drafted him, and they actually could have probably traded for him. And twice they've said no. The guy is a specimen. Why you wouldn't do that?
What you were just saying, that I was thinking in my brain about 10 minutes ago, the Pats were so close to drafting him. There was so much hype in those mock drafts of Lamar going to the Patriots. And could you imagine how good we'd be if we had him right now?
The transition of power would have been tough because Brady was still here, but he would have got to learn. But I believe that was the year, right? We took Sony Michel. Was that the Sony Michel draft? Did we take Michel and Stu? I think we had two. Michelle and Isaiah Wynn right before him. So we took Isaiah Wynn. I just went to the draft because I was pretty positive it was a Sony Michel. We took Isaiah Wynn at 23, and then they traded back, or maybe they traded back to get these players, but they took Sony Michel at 31. Then Baltimore took Lamar Jackson at 32.
Yeah, I would have rather taken Lamar over Sony Michel, but that's just me.
I don't think that's just you. I think that's the majority of the population.
Well, at Louisville, he was a stud. Like he was coming into the league. You know he was going to be a first round pick. He made it to the end of the first round. I can't remember who else got drafted ahead of him as quarterbacks in that thing, but he probably came out as a top quarterback in that draft.
No, incorrect. He's not. You know who else came out in that draft? Josh Allen.
Okay, and he was he was number one, right?
Well, no. Baker Mayfield 1, Sam Darnold goes 3, Josh Allen goes 7, Josh Rosen goes 10.
Sam Darnold.
Josh Rosen.
Oh, he was awful. I wouldn't have drafted him if my life depended on it.
But, I mean, not a bad draft between Baker. Saquon Barkley went second overall that
year. I wouldn't even put hate on Baker Mayfield this year either, because he is just here to play football. He reminds me of like a Brett Favre-esque player, if that makes sense. Like he just goes out and throws the football. He's a gunslinger.
He is. I like Baker. Tampa's my second city. It was my second city before Tom Brady went there, and I like when they're good. I listened to some of the sports programs when Brady went there, and they're saying, "Oh, what a terrible sports city." Believe me, I've been to games down there. It's a fun sports city. Nobody goes. No, people don't realize if you don't go down there, if you watch a game like a Red Sox game at Tropicana Field, it looks empty. It is empty, but it's tough to get to Tropicana Field. There's one road in and one road out. But to me, it's a fun venue. You can interact with the players. It's a great time. They have a full bar out in center field. It's pretty cool out there.
Oh, I have to make my way down there eventually.
I'll tell you, anytime you want to, we'll head out to Tampa. They're building a beautiful brand new stadium too. So it's only going to get better down there. But yeah, I love Tampa, and I love, they're sitting at third place right now as far as playoff ranking. You got Detroit obviously is 1, Philly 2, and Tampa 3. But interestingly enough, there's not one NFC division leader that's clinched their division yet.
Well, no, because the divisions are so close. Wait, didn't Philly already clinch it?
No, Philly's 12-2. Washington's 9-5. So conceivably, if Philly loses 3 in a row and Washington wins 3 in a row, Washington would then be the NFC East representative.
Okay.
So everything's tight. Like when you look at the AFC, you got KC, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston. Just Pittsburgh hasn't clinched the division because Baltimore is 1 game behind them. But I mean, you got Denver at 95, Chargers at 8-6, Miami, Cincinnati still alive at 6-8. I think it's safe to say they're not going to make it. Neither one of those teams. Miami's garbage. Cincinnati's just kind of had a down year. But then you go to the wild card picture in the NFC. There's 8 teams alive still in the NFC wild card.
That's crazy.
Including New Orleans at 5-9. They're still alive.
At 5-9?
Well, you have Green Bay at 10-4, Washington 9-5, Seattle 8-6, and they're the
Okay.
third. So Seattle at 8-6 would be the third wild card team. Then you have Atlanta and Arizona at 7-7, San Fran and Dallas at 6-8, New Orleans at 5-9. Again, New Orleans would have to win out, and everything else would have to go their way. But conceivably, they could still make it. They're not eliminated yet.
You think the Rams going to win that division over Seattle?
Boy, yeah, I do. I try. Stafford's won a Super Bowl. Cup and Nakua are really, really good. Kyron Williams is healthy. Yeah, Geno Smith's a turnover machine, so I could see him shitting his pants.
Oh, dude, the fact he has that many yards, he has just as many picks as he does touchdowns right now.
Yeah, at one point in the season, I know it was 10 for 10. I don't know what it is now, but yeah, it's not good. He is turning the ball over. The fact that he turns the ball over as much as he does, and they're sitting at 8-6 is crazy. Like, all he would have to do is take care of that ball.
Oh, that's all he has to do. Game manager. That's it. And you're not. Yeah, Geno Smith isn't he had a good year with
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll's last year, right? When he had that great year.
Yeah.
And they did just, I don't think he's an actual number one quarterback for a team in the NFL.
No, but I will say he's good enough. He's good enough to start on teams, and he's good enough to start in Seattle. They paid him back, not smart in my opinion, but it goes to show guys like him and Sam Darnold, if you get drafted into the wrong position, you can be in a lot of trouble. And I know that's my fear with Drake May if the Patriots don't make all the right moves.
Oh, we're going to get on the Drake May talk. So
let's just jump right into it because I want to fix the Pats, and there's a lot to talk about with the Pats too. I do want to get one more thought from you, though, because we were talking NFC teams, and you have Atlanta one game out of a wild card spot at 7-7, and they're benching Cousins for Michael Penix.
I don't know if it's so much they're benching him because of his play. I think that they invested a lot of money and they're benching him so he doesn't get hurt at the end of the season. I think they call it a down. It's that team is not good enough to be in the playoffs. And I say that because Cousins is not clearly what he was in Minnesota. And he has just as many weapons in Atlanta as he did in Minnesota, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, hold on, because it kind of sounds like you're contradicting yourself here. That Atlanta team is definitely good enough. Darnell Mooney's had a really good year. You have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Bijan Robinson. I don't think they're benching them because they don't want him to get hurt. You don't bench someone who you don't want to get hurt. They're in the playoff picture still. They're one game out of a wild card spot with 3 games to go. They're going to Penix because Cousins has been terrible this year.
Oh, wait, what was he at? 17 touchdowns, like 14 picks or 15 picks or something like that. He's not the same guy you saw in Minnesota. And you had a couple games where you saw flashes and you're like, all right, he's back, and then he has a really bad week. And then he comes back and then a really awful week. It's been up and down.
I don't think they're protecting him at all. I think this is them saying Penix might give us a spark. Penix is the future. If they cut Cousins, they still owe him, like, they're on the hook for like $37 million in dead money. But if they can trade him before next season, they're only on the hook for like 29 million over the terms of his deal. So I think that this is them saying we're moving on. You're not good enough. You aren't who we thought. He's 18 touchdowns, 16 picks.
60. Okay. The guy got, he knows how to get paid. That's for sure. Like, seriously, he knows how to get paid.
He's 83, 74, and 2 in his career. He's gotten paid in Minnesota. He's gotten paid in Atlanta to be a guy who's pretty pedestrian.
So you think this is a play? This is a power play on them. We have a better shot with the rookie than we do with Cousins going for a playoff shot.
100%.
Now, do you believe that though?
Do I think that? Yeah, 100%. I don't think I think Kirk Cousins is done football wise.
Okay.
I think they're benching him before it looks way worse. I think they're hoping a rookie can give this team a shot of life. And I think that they're trying to salvage, okay, 18 and 16. If we make the playoffs, we can try to move him and say, well, he did have us in position. You know, you can spin it, which he put us in position to make the playoffs. We made the playoffs, and we wouldn't have without him helping develop our younger quarterback. You can trade for him, and he's your bridge guy. But
okay.
if
That was my next question. Do you consider him a bridge, or do you think someone's going to trade him to actually be a starter?
I think he's a bridge quarterback at this point in his career. His numbers this year just aren't good enough. I mean, 3,500 yards, though, is still good. If you're a team on the cusp or a team like no one wants to trade for Deshaun Watson. He's too much money. But like if you were, say, the Browns or even Pittsburgh is, I don't know if they're married to Russell Wilson. They're not going to pay Fields, but they have to do something next year. Maybe they trade for Kirk Cousins. I mean, I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do quarterback wise. There's teams out there. Maybe Carolina decides Bryce Young isn't their guy and we'll go get Kirk Cousins. And I don't know what anyone can do, but Kirk Cousins can still play in the league. But I think him being a star is over.
A good question. You think the Browns should pay Jameis Winston?
No, they can't afford to. How can you pay him? And they've already said they want Deshaun Watson back.
That's retarded.
That is they are expecting him to be the starter next year.
Oh, that's awful. Jameis Winston, even though he's thrown a lot of picks in the last couple games, he's produced a better game for them than Deshaun Watson. He completely turned around Jerry Jeudy's season when he came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Jerry Jeudy had like 400 or 500 yards at the time Watson got hurt. He's well over 1,000 now, and with touchdowns, like he showed he's a good receiver, but you can't do it with Deshaun Watson. Why the hell would you start him again?
No, believe me, I agree. I would not want Deshaun Watson. As far as Jameis Winston's a journeyman at this point in his career. I wouldn't pay Jameis Winston. Somebody will be dumb enough to, but Jameis Winston's not the guy to get you over the hump. You know what I mean? Like
I didn't say it. I think it's just I like the guy. You know, no matter what, he's always in good spirits and he's down to play football because he knows he doesn't have many shots left. Yeah, but he can't throw the ball.
Oh, he's got an absolute cannon. I don't dislike Jay. I remember when Jameis Winston was on Hard Knocks with Tampa, and I liked him then. Like I was like, oh man, I hope they do good this year. Because I liked him and I liked Mike Evans. Jameis Winston, like where will he end up past this year? Like next year, I don't think he's in Cleveland. That is a good conversation. Where's guys? Kirk Cousins, Jameis Winston, Sam Darnold. Where are these guys next year?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if Minnesota's going to pay Sam Darnold.
They're not going to.
They want J.J. McCarthy as their quarterback.
I'm not going to say I talked to someone in the Minnesota front office because I didn't. I don't know anyone there. They're not paying Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will be somewhere else. And if my money, if it was for my money, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, or Jameis Winston, one of them will be in Vegas.
I was thinking one of them were going to be with the Giants.
I think Shedeur Sanders is probably like there is. I hate talk this early, but we have to because we're in New England and New England's not doing anything. But right now, as it stands, Travis Hunter could fall to number 3 to New England.
Every mock draft has it. Every mock draft. It's Cam Ward and Sanders going either 1 or 2 or vice versa with Hunter going 3.
I don't take Hunter.
I still am on the forefront of taking the left tackle from LSU.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I told you I could fix the Patriots, and let's jump into the Patriots talk. I told you I could fix them. My move to fix them was I traded with Chicago. I moved back to 9. I got 36 and 73, and I gave up number 3 overall and number 80. and I drafted Will Campbell at left tackle. And then I traded 36 and a 26 fifth round pick for 38 and 100 with Minnesota. And at 38, I drafted Ariante Ursary, who's an All-American left tackle from Minnesota. So I went and got 2 tackles right off the rip. And I put them in camp, and I decide which one's the better left tackle. And then I move the other one to right tackle. And now I have 2 rookie tackles on 2 rookie deals. And then
You
on
move
the
you move a Wino to guard?
oh yeah, I move it Wino to guard. And
Okay.
you already paid him. So he's either your right guard or left guard, whichever he's better in whatever scheme, whether it's Van Pelt or someone else. David Andrews should be coming back. He's your center. You have to hope Cole Strange eventually works out and he can play. If he can't, you just have to decide who your other guard is next to him. But I take those 2 guys at tackle. Then I took Tyler Williams, the defensive tackle from Ohio State. And then I took Kyle Kennard, an edge rusher. I took him at 70. He's out of South Carolina. And then at, I think 100, I took Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State, who was supposed to have a monster year. He's had a down year, but he had a monster junior year. And for my money, you're watching what good running backs can do. Well, now if I got 2 left tackles, a good quarterback, a center and a guard, and I have somebody behind Ramondre Stevenson, like Ollie Gordon, Quinshon Judkins is another name. Like, I don't think that's a bad idea. And then another name I want you to watch out for, because I know we need a wide receiver. Day 3 guy out of San Jose State, Nick Nash. Have you heard?
I've seen him.
Well, I look at a guy like him because he's not as good, obviously, as Devontae Adams. But like San Jose State, he's going to be a day 3 pick, but they have him listed at 6'3", 195. 104 receptions for almost 1,400 yards and 16 touchdowns. I know it's with San Jose State, but still, those are good numbers.
No, they are good numbers. See, I'm leaning towards the whole the tight end. If you're gonna, I don't want to keep Van Pelt, but if you're gonna keep him, the tight ends have produced for New England. Drake May has been using Henry and Hooper a lot the last 5 games.
Sure.
I thought trading back, you get Campbell at 7 or 8. Trade back into the first round and get my boy from Penn State. Get Tyler Warren, baby.
Okay.
Give me that stud tight end, because Henry's only getting older, and you're gonna need a guy that's gonna be a security blanket for May for the next 10 years, and that's the kid to do it.
Well, what do you think also about Bryson Nesbitt? He played with Drake May. I mean, you'd get him in the later rounds. He's not gonna go as early as your boy, but they played together at North Carolina. Nesbitt was 6'6". He's a big guy.
That could work too, though, because they've already played together. If you haven't seen it yet either, guys that have played with each other, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, you can see guys that have gone places with people they played and they've produced. And you were saying that with the receiver. Didn't you say that about the receiver in the draft this year when they got May? That young.
Oh yeah. Tez Walker.
Yeah, they could have went and got him, and he had a good season with Drake May at UNC before he got drafted.
Yes. And I'm not married to the idea of like, you got to get them because they were there together. Bryson Nesbitt also is a guy who's probably going to get taken in the second and third round. I'm just the fact that when I'm looking at the Pats at this point, it pains me to say this, but the NFL has kind of taken away the idea of like playing good defense. There's so many flags. There's so you know something, how do you combat that? Have a really good offense. They've already paid Duggar, which if you could trade Duggar, I would move on from him. But you have Peppers. You got Christian Gonzalez. Maybe Keon White's good. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how he develops.
You still got Barmore.
You still got Christian Barmore. So there's a number of guys on the defensive side anyway. Pump this offense. If you're going to get a king's ransom because somebody wants Travis Hunter, go get him, and then go get me big tackles. Quinshon Judkins is a good running back. Travion Henderson's a good running back. You know what I mean? I like Ollie Gordon for my money. He's going to go later than both those guys. I don't know many wide receivers that I really love early on. is going to go in the top 10. And I don't necessarily, unless you can make a trade for a left tackle, I don't want to go wide receiver. I mean, it worked out for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I don't know that it'll work out like that for the Patriots with him and Drake May, but just go get offense at this point.
No, offense is a key. And we were talking about this the other day, and I heard Mike Vrabel saying he'd be down for a head coach position in New England. I think that's all wrong. I don't want a defensive-minded guy unless you're bringing in a stud coordinator for offense. You were right. If they fire Mike McDaniels, I'd go after him. If you can snag Cliff Kingsbury to come over, if you fire Mayo and give him the head coaching job, I think he would be great with May. I think he's actually I think May's a better mover than Kyler Murray is than we think. Kyler Murray might be faster, but I think May, the size of him adds to it. I think that you can use him in a way that you see Josh Allen being used. And I saw another stat about him too, is he has the most yards per attempt since Michael Vick as a quarterback in his rookie season. He's averaging almost 10 yards a carry.
Yeah. There's just the problem I find in New England. And so this is where I'm getting to right now, is if you're going to bring in a new coach, if you fire Gerard Mayo, we already had issues with finding someone who wanted to be here, because New England, there's no mistake about it. New England's in a bad shape. If they're not, especially like we talk like they're going to spend, and that's what Stevie will always, jump on during the text chain. It's like they don't spend. Yeah, you're right. If they don't spend, this is all for naught. But we have to play pretend that they're gonna. If you go get Mike Vrabel, okay, he's been a coach in the league before. Do I want Mike Vrabel? No, because I don't want a defensive coach. But I understand this is like the Robert Kraft mindset. Go get yourself an offensive coordinator. And we saw what a problem that was last offseason. Alex Van Pelt was like the 8th or 9th guy. He could have been the 13th guy, right?
You said that.
So let's go to college football then. Let's find the best head coach for offensive production. And it's a guy named Major Applewhite. And he's the head coach of South Alabama. And they average 8.6 yards per play. And convince that guy that you can get paid more as a coordinator in the NFL than you can as the head coach of the South Alabama Jaguars. And that's kind of what you'll have to do. And you'll hope that this guy schemes something good, if it's on, or get South Alabama's offensive coordinator, because you're not going to get a big name here because New England's shit.
Well, so I look at it, I think Mayo's problem was that he's been with New England since he became a coach. He hasn't been anywhere else. Mayo doesn't have the resources to call friends to come, hey, let's see if you want to get in here. Let me talk to you about it. They had to go with whoever would take the job. Now, if you bring someone in like Mike McDaniel, when he went over to the Dolphins, he had a whole crew of coaches to come with him. He already had the surroundings around him where he had enough friends to call to come, hey, come my way. We'll make this team great. I think it has a lot to do with where you've been in your coaching career in the NFL to get coordinators to come play with you than it is per se of the team. It's not the team so much. It's the coach that's taking over. That's how I view it. But like Bill Belichick, for instance, he's at UNC right now. He's going to start calling people that he knows to come coach with him down there. He's going to make a whole coaching staff down there.
Sure.
Okay. He has enough people in that Rolodex to call to see if they come and coach with him. Where does Gerard Mayo's Rolodex? He doesn't have one.
No, he's Bill Belichick's crony.
It is what it was. So I think if you get the right head coach, you will get coordinators here. They need to see that it's going to be a coach that's going to do something. I mean, DeMeco Ryans went over to Houston. He got some good coordinators to go over there with him after he left. Because I think where was he first? He was in San Fran after he left Houston. He was in Houston, San Fran, and then back to Houston again.
Yeah.
So he had people that he could call because he's already traveled. Mayo was under Bill, stayed with Bill, and that's how it went. You need to have an experienced coach to get experienced coordinators.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I like I said, I don't want Mike Vrabel, but I'm not vehemently against Mike Vrabel. He's better than Gerard Mayo. We need better football minds. They haven't hit on the draft. They haven't hit in free agency. They're not hitting anywhere. So you need, and what you need to do is you need to get a head coach and a GM that are on the same page.
That too. Would you call Josh back to come be OCS?
Who's the head coach? I mean, who's my head coach?
If we're not firing Mayo and you're just getting rid of Van Pelt, would you want Josh back?
No, I wasn't in love with Josh. I think so many of the coaches that were here were products of Tom Brady, as far as I'm concerned. So it's like Bill O'Brien when they brought him back. On paper it looked like a good move, but it wasn't. Charlie Weiss was here early on. He didn't really have success anywhere else. I don't know. No, probably not. Brian Daboll might get the axe in New York. I would love Brian Daboll as a head coach here.
I would love him.
But I think you're going to have to go outside of the NFL circuit. I think there's a lot of guys. If you would have to go to like ESPN, I don't even know if Major Applewhite is this great guy. Like Fran Brown at Syracuse. Syracuse's offense has a ton of passing yards per game. So there's enough people out there. You're probably going to have to go try to find the next like unknown guy because people don't want to come to New England. That's the problem.
Well, that's what Arizona did with Cliff Kingsbury. They brought him in from college from Texas Tech after his Texas Tech seasons were off the statistical charts because his offense was always good. He's an offensive-minded guy. So you're not wrong at all.
Yeah. And then you have to marry that guy to a GM that they're on the same page.
Oh, yeah. Like I think you said it a couple weeks ago, you like call Detroit and get Ben Johnson and the GM from over there to come over to New England.
Yeah. No, it's the assistant GM. His name is eluding me right now. Ray Agnew. Name.
Okay.
Yeah, just get those two. They've worked together already. As long as they like each other, whoever you get, you have to. Your head coach and your GM have to be one mind. And the problem was they gave that power to Bill Belichick for so long. And Bill Belichick was one mind, but he wasn't a good GM.
Definitely wasn't a good GM. He sucked at drafting.
Yeah.
You need a GM to draft. Caserio was proof of that. They let Caserio walk, and look what he did to Houston.
Yeah.
And it was like that was the stupidest move I think New England's done ever was letting go of him and not letting him become GM because he proved everybody wrong.
Yes, I agree. But that would be my fix to the Patriots. Is like in the draft, just go offense. This isn't the old days where it's like defense wins championships. The defensive teams aren't the teams that are like you need to play some defense, but your offense needs to be highlighted. You're looking at what Josh Allen can do. You're looking at Lamar with Derrick Henry. Like the best teams in the league right now, they're not teams where you think, oh, they're a defensive juggernaut. Outside of maybe Pittsburgh.
I was going to say Pittsburgh.
But the rest of the team, Kansas City, I mean, their defense is good, but you think Pat Mahomes, Kelsey, you even think back to what it was Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. Buffalo is Josh Allen's team. Houston is C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, those guys, Tank Dell. Baltimore. Denver's another team. They win with defense, but Bo Nix has looked really good.
Honestly, Casey's defense has saved them a lot this season. I think their defense is actually better than their offense at this point right now.
Do you say defense or referees?
My guy. No, you're right. You're right. But their defense is playing better than they have prior seasons.
Sure. No, and I agree there, but just go down the list. Detroit, Philadelphia, Tampa, the Rams. the Packers. Like they're good defenses, but you're looking at their which is that's what wins in this league now. Defenses can't do anything. You can't hand check. You can't lead with your head. There's safety precautions. There's flags everywhere for the defender, and it's so go get offensive players. That's that. The moral of the story for me is if you want to contend in this league, you need to score points.
Yeah. So on that note, if you do fire Mayo, would you go after like the Lions OC, the Eagles OC?
Yeah.
The guys you would go right after an offense coordinator right off the rip. No other head coach experience on it. You want an offensive coordinator right off the rip.
If you've had offensive coordinator experience, yes, but like Brian Daboll, I would take Brian Daboll. He's got he's an offensive minded coach. If he gets fired, I would go for them. But I want an offensive minded person.
Okay.
I would go to a college head coach who's an offensive minded person.
Which is what you said the Bears should do with Lincoln Riley.
I would like New England to go get Lincoln Riley. I've been on the Lincoln Riley train for a long time. I think he's a quarterback whisperer.
No, he is.
You know,
there's no doubt about that in my mind. He really is. It just he did. I heard a report today that number one on Chicago's list is Mike Vrabel, and it's like, why would you go get a defensive minded coach for Caleb Williams? Like, you guys need some fixing down in Chicago too. So
they should call him and give him Lincoln Riley and give him the bag. And literally, Caleb Williams looks salty. You know, when you watch him, they're on an 8-game losing streak. This kid left Oklahoma to follow Lincoln Riley to USC. Why would you not call Lincoln Riley? And I don't know what his contract is, but you can get out of any contract nowadays. Give him the bag to come to Chicago and say, these are the weapons you have. That's a good team. They need a good coach.
Oh, they definitely do. I was hearing some stuff today about like the transfer portal with Bill Belichick. He already got a guy to commit from a transfer portal.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so then it got signed today. And then I saw like it was a fake beam, obviously. Arch Manning wanting to play with Bill Belichick transfers to UNC. I was like, I'm reading the comments. They were like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. He's one of the top teams in college football to go play with Bill Belichick. I was like, well, you know, it shows that transfer portal, the coaches are there. Deion's proof of it. Deion's getting players.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, no.
But Lincoln Riley getting to Chicago I think it would benefit Caleb Williams more than anything.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And we're coming towards the end of the show, so I do want to transition because we wanted to talk a little bit of baseball. Obviously, the Juan Soto deal, the last time we were all on together, he doesn't end up in Boston. He ends up with a massive deal to go to the Mets. And then, of course, Fried signs with the Yankees. And then the Red Sox go get Garrett Crochet, who we all liked, and then it happened. And Steve is not sold on Garrett Crochet. I do. I'm a fan of Garrett Crochet. I think
you do.
I just think it's a really good move.
They should have did it at the deadline when they needed it. They waited to the offseason, which was time. He could have helped our pitching. It probably put us in the playoffs if that was the case.
Yeah. And if you were the move was always to go get him, and they're probably going to pay him, then why wouldn't you just like when the caveat to trading him was he said, I'm not pitching in the postseason if I don't have a deal. Why not just trade him then, get him, pay him, and then just keep moving forward? But
it's because we have a fucking retarded front office.
Well, we have a bad ownership group that doesn't really care anymore about the team. They care more about the bottom line, which is $1. What are you doing if you're the GM? Is there any other moves that should be made right now?
Well, you were talking about Pete Alonso for a long time now, and I was kind of on that train. You know, let's go get Pete Alonso. Crazy thing I see right before the podcast. Pete Alonso wants to play for the Yankees. Yes, I saw it on a sports thing. I don't know if it was Facebook or going searching through the web and stuff. But if the Mets want to get rid of him or something like that, or that he would rather go play for the Yankees, I'm on the train for Pete Alonso at first base. I think that was the best thing he could have did for the Red Sox last year. They didn't I wish they would go get Vladdy. I was on that thing last year. You hear that he wanted to play, but now you don't know if he wants to come play here because Soto's now with the Mets.
Yeah.
So there's things you could do. I think we need to sign. We need to try to get what's his name? Did Barnes sign yet?
No, Corbin Burns is not. He's been linked to us in Baltimore.
All right. So I would go for him. That would put me at ease at our starting five because you would have him. You'd have Crochet at the one. You'd have Bello, and then Hauk, and then whoever your fifth starter is, whatever they use. I think that would be a good one. It's you're gonna have to trade for another bat because there's nothing really out there for bats in free agency right now. I mean, who would you take in free agency for a bat right now?
I have 4 names, and I'll float them out to you and see what you think. First things first, Corbin Burns, they should pay him.
Okay.
Or Jack Flaherty. The problem with Jack Flaherty is he turned down an offer from the Dodgers. So if you do trade him, it's a compensatory pick you lose a pick, the Dodgers gain a compensatory pick. But Flaherty, it looks like, I guess the heavy favorites are the Angels to sign him for like $100 million.
Would you try Walker Buehler?
What's that?
Would you try to sign Walker Buehler?
Yeah, he's another name. Him and Jack Flaherty both pitch for the Dodgers. I would pick either of them, but I would definitely go get Burns. The 4 names, and they're all you have Pete Alonso, who's on my list. He's always been on my list.
Always.
DH. Why not pay this guy to not play the field, and then he can play first base when Tristan Casas gets hurt. Teoscar Hernandez.
That's a good one.
Alex Bregman, who's out there. That's another name.
Now, I don't know if I'm sold on Bregman. I feel like if Bregman comes here, it's going to be like Trevor Story.
So my thought with Bregman is he's played third base and shortstop. Every guy I picked was a DH because I don't like Yoshida. I hate a DH who has no pop in his bat.
No, it's having a DH.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't like Yoshida. I think it was a bad signing. Unfortunately, you probably just have to eat that signing. He rides your bench and plays every now and again. But Bregman, 75 RBIs, 26 home runs. He batted .260 last year, and he bats righty. And then Anthony Santander, who I guess the market, he thought he was going to have a way bigger market because he hit 44 home runs, and his market's not materializing. So he's 30 years old. He doesn't bat for average. He bats .235, but 44 home runs and 102 RBIs, and he's a switch hitter.
It's like Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's a switch hitter, so he can still bat towards the monster against lefties, and then he's got the short porch in right field when he bats lefty against righties. That's not a bad pick, especially if I'm going to put him in DH and he's your 4th outfielder that plays every now and again.
Nah, I like those. Those are all good ones. The DH thing, I get it. We don't have a good DH. You can't keep Devers at DH because you need him to play third.
Yeah.
And if you signed a third baseman, a legit one, if you put Bregman at third and you put that you could switch Devers between Bregman and Devers into a DH spot. So I get it. The Yoshida thing was a big thing for me too. I'm not sold on him. I don't think he's as good as everybody thought he was going to be.
No, you thought you were getting something way better. There is Nolan Arenado.
I've heard his name's thrown out there a couple times.
If you want to throw Devers at DH, I like Nolan Arenado. I would have liked him better 5 years ago.
Oh yeah,
he's 34, but he's still a good bat. He plays third base, but the Red Sox are on his list of teams that he will play for, and I believe the Astros put together a trade, and he blocked it because he didn't want to go to Houston.
I mean, that's a good sign.
So he's got a short list of 5 or 6 teams, but the Red Sox are on it.
Okay, well, all those guys are great picks. I would love to see them try to do something like that. I think Burns is the biggest one they need to do, and
yeah,
I don't know if they have the team that the Orioles have that would make him want to come to us. And that's what scares me because the Orioles shouldn't be outbidding us for anything.
No. The sad thing is when you say all these names and it's like, Yeah, we got to pick between, Burns and Flaherty. Should we get Teoscar? Should we go for a lot? There was a point in time where the Red Sox said, well, we're going to sign Corbin Burns, Pete Alonso, and Teoscar Hernandez, and then we'll see what's left over and maybe spend more money. Like, there was a point in time where you were bringing in players like that, where it was stars coming here, where you had Johnny Damon and you had Manny Ramirez, and you had Nomar, and you had David Ortiz. And I know that not all those guys at once were all on massive contracts right off the rip. But yeah, when they wanted to win, it was like, we have Pedro, we have a number one. Go get Kurt Schilling, who could have been a number one on a lot of teams. But they were, you know what I mean? There was a time where winning was priority. Winning has not become priority in Boston anymore. And that's why you're not seeing guys come here. It has nothing to do with the city of Boston when it comes to baseball. It has everything to do with ownership not opening the wallet. If you open the wallet, guys are going to come here.
Oh, they come here in a heartbeat because you could pay them the most. It's like it's them, the Dodgers, and the Yankees, I think, could pay anybody what they wanted without having a problem.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it. And it's what makes it frustrating as a Red Sox fan, because the one thing you want is a good Red Sox team every season.
Yes.
And the fact that you have that much money and you're not spending it, you know what it is? It seems like the only team that's willing to spend money right now is the Boston Celtics out of all of, the Bruins paid this offseason, but they're not doing what they should be doing right now.
No.
But you only have the Celtics. They dropped so much money on their team because they knew it was worth it. Why is all these teams that we have, like the Red Sox, like the Pats, that have all this money to spend and they're not spending it? What is the reason for it? It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. And I don't know. I think it's more or less that John Henry doesn't want to spend anymore. He wants to collect his money, and that's kind of it for him. He's won here, right? Why do you care? He's still making money hand over fist.
So then sell the fucking team.
I agree. I'm with you. I'm just saying that's what I think it is.
No, you're right. And it's frustrating. I'm a big Red Sox guy. I love going to the park. I love watching the games. It's just, I can't go to a game right now and be happy about going to a game knowing that we're not doing everything as an organization from a fan point.
I completely agree. It'll be interesting. This is the best time of year for baseball when it's not actually baseball season, is to start seeing the team materialize. I think the Red Sox could be good. I had high hopes for them last year. They went in on Soto, so that makes me feel a little bit better. They didn't get him, but it is time. Open the wallet and spend some money on some of these other guys. I just want to see some pop and some bats here.
Would you go with that kid, the kid from Japan? I don't know if it's Japan or whatever it is, but that young pitcher that everybody's already linking to the Dodgers. When he's that young phenom out there. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, the problem is, like you said, it's no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, and I don't know enough about him. That's why. But I'm sour. I'm sour when Daisuke Matsuzaka. I'm sour when it comes to Masataka Yoshida. So I think I'm just sour.
Okay, I get it. No, I get it. I
want proven MLB players.
Okay, fair enough.
Guys who have already proved themselves in this league. I think that's going to do it for me. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, Penn State kills SMU this week and move on to play Boise, and another easy win at Boise and go into the next round. So looks like we're playing Georgia. It looks like we're playing Georgia before the college football finals, because that's just what it looks like.
Well, listen, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for Steve, and then you guys can battle it out together. Like you, Michigan is going to kill it in practice. Unfortunately, when game time rolls around,
you said that earlier, and I wanted to be like, but you guys beat Ohio State.
And that's the thing but there's a different mentality in getting up for an Ohio State game than there is against Alabama in a bowl game. Who knows? Like, is Will Johnson going to play? I haven't even looked to see. They have a lot of guys who are going to get drafted in the first couple rounds, all defensive players. Who shows up to play in bowl games now? That's the problem. I love that the NCAA, I mean, they played in the college football playoff last year. There's no chance that Michigan at 7-5 deserved Alabama in a bowl game. I'm happy we got it. Especially we got Bryce Underwood. But I don't, they're not in the same class. Ohio State was, Michigan's Super Bowl right there.
No, it was. I Winston, my stepfather, a good friend of yours. He's a Bama fan. So, for him I hope he's gonna watch this because he usually does, and then he's gonna hear me say it. But I'm kind of rooting for Michigan right now, buddy. I kind of want to see Michigan beat Alabama just to show that maybe that win against Ohio State wasn't it. Just they had a bad season.
I hope that they win. Obviously, Alabama's good, man. Jalen Milroe already said he's going to play, I believe, too. And he's a number one first round draft pick. Winnie always watches. Love Winnie. Great friend of the show. So I'm glad to hear you say that. I can't wait to see him at work and see what he has to say about that.
He knows. Every time Bama's playing, I send him a Roll Tide thing. So I'm down with Tide. I would like to see a little something different. I'll root for Michigan for you.
Well, I hope that on day of, on New Year's Eve, you can send them a nice Go Big Blue with the big Michigan flag.
I got you, buddy, just for you.
I appreciate it. We're rocking it already, man.
I got mine already. I'm waiting for it, buddy. I'm waiting for it.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us. We are partnered with Jones Info Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on X. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. Also follow us, like, subscribe. We're at Hub Boy Sports. Beard, last words.
Go Penn State.
From me, the King Kava. Go Nittany Lions, baby.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, do it again. Merry Christmas to everyone out there who's watching this. If you don't hear from us again before Christmas, we will try to get back on sometime before. But it's the holidays, and hopefully everyone has a very good holiday out there.
Yes, sir.
Later, buddy.
Later.